Well, hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of my, boot collection. In part 1, I've showed you guys my older boots. Some are off-brand, some are, designer brands. Some of them are, designer brands and, cool brands. So, in part 2, I'm going to show you guys my newest additions. And wait till y'all see the last pair. This is going to be fun, y'all. So check these out. I got these, Ariat men's Booker Chelsea boots. Obviously I use these more for casual events. You do have your Ariat logo there. Your Bantam sole, I think it's what it's called. You guys can see right there how the tread right there is, rather, it's low on tread. But I like the fact that these are beefy. Super beefy at that. And I like the stitching. Just some wood detail there. I don't know if these are Goodyear welted. I like the full grain leather. One thing that I do want to share with you guys is make sure you guys use some shoe trees with these. Because, as an everyday style Western boot, it can get prone to getting dirty. And so that's what you need to use. Obviously, you can see right there just a little bit of no. They don't show any scratches, but they do look a little dirty right here. You guys can see just a little scratch right there, just some dings and scratches. And this is the right shoe. The all-day cushioning. Still relatively, it's still in pristine condition. These are more like casual style. And so, check these out, y'all. Now, one thing I do want to show right off the bat, you do have just a little bit of, scratching right there. Just a little bit of, you do have a little hole right there. You do have, obviously these are not, of the highest quality, because you guys can see just a little bit of the, pull tab is, coming off from wearing them, you guys can see the pull tab is just their cheap pull tab, but you guys can see the Sonoma Goods logo. It's, they're not perfect, but I like the fact that, I wear these more for church, and, again, the leather isn't the highest quality, and so you guys can see the Sonoma Goods Vorsi Chelsea boots, but it does have a lot of tread. I obviously the sole is, TPU, and yeah, that's what I do like. Got these, February of 2025. And again, Happy New Year to all of you guys. Now, check these. The last two pairs are interesting. But I'm not gonna show you. I'm not ready to show you guys this pair yet. That is, save that to last. Save that boot for last. Save the best for last. Now, obviously, these, are, logo-less, unbranded, these are more generic, just your quintessential Chelsea boots. I like the fact that these are, just your typical Chelsea boots. These are actually leatherette, but I don't know. We don't know what type of materials they use because doesn't have any information. You guys can see just some little bit of stitching coming off, but over the last 8 months and couple of wears, these are more like my spring and summer Chelsea boot, but you guys can see it's unlined, comparing to the Banyo boots right there, comparing to these boots here. Those boots are leather lined, but these, you can see just a little bit of creasing there, Again, I got these for relatively affordable, got these from TikTok shop, and obviously these are not, designer brand boots. These are just your generic Chelsea boots. So set those there. And the last pair that I'm about to show you guys is, I'm going to say I'm really stoked, but I'm really stoked because they, I got these last week for Christmas, and are you guys ready to see these boots? I'm gonna count down. So 3, 2, 1. Behold, my Doc Martin 2976 Chelsea boots. Yes, y'all. Y'all heard that correctly. These are my new addition. These are my newest addition to these Chelsea boots. Now, before I show you guys, I do want to mention, I've heard, from different forums and, that, they, some people complain that these are not on the highest level comparing them to the competition and, but some people say that these are durable and, they have some chrome tanning and what have you. But, man, I love them. I wore these yesterday during the New Year's Eve celebration. Now, I like the yellow stitching. I like the fact that these are smooth leather. I'm a size 8, and some people complain that with the Doc Martin with the Doc Martin 2976, they are, the sizing is inconsistent, but not only that, some people complain that the leather isn't the highest quality, that they're not durable. No boot is perfect. No boot is perfect. Nothing is perfect in the boot manufacturer, in the boot industry. Nothing is perfect. So, but I like the fact that, I still like them. You do have your Doc Martin logo. You do have just, cardboard. These do not have a steel shank, which, for some of you, it might not be, quite durable, but I don't give a fulano about these. These are my highest, these are my, possession, and these have the airwear, air cushion sole, and you guys can see right there with the loop, Doc Martin 2976. These are a dandy. You guys can see the air cushion sole. They're PVC, and, I like them. And, fun story. When I saw these at Victoria Gardens, at a Doc Martin store, I saw these and I was in love. So, there you guys have it. My boot collection. And hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys comment, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that y'all never miss any of my future content. Happy New Year to all of you guys. Happy 2026. And catch y'all in a next video. Woohoo! Peace!